Hey, this is Eric McCoy again with Recovering Through Highness. How many of you have heard of operant conditioning? So I was thinking recently about how this learning style works and how this applies to drug use, but how it doesn't apply to the individual who is dependent upon drugs. Now, one of my goals in Recovering Through Highness is to help those who have never experienced a chemical addiction understand what is happening. Now, I've worked with therapists over the years that fail to understand what is happening, even though they believe in operant conditioning. And I'll explain what that means here in a little bit. So I'm not a therapist, but I am a counselor. And unfortunately, as Bob Forrest and I spoke about this on another video, that we are becoming less important in this industry as if we have no real knowledge and ability to help people. Now, I spent 11 years of my life abusing drugs, gaining real experiential knowledge firsthand, going to a community college for 2 years to get my certification as a counselor, another 2 years to get my associates, which was a major in psychology, and 11 years in the industry as a counselor, program director, clinical director, and executive director. I relapsed after having 11 years, and I went on a 6-month run where I returned to rehab. Now in 2015, I returned to the field as a counselor, program director for a rehab, became an executive director as I opened another rehab. I left after we struggled to get clients because we wouldn't do the shady practices that were going on. And I returned as a clinical director and a program director at another program. Now, currently I teach at the New Creation College, which includes physiological effects of drugs and alcohol, the therapeutic approaches to psychology, ethics, case management, self-growth, and there's a few other topics. Do I have the knowledge to help people? Now I want to talk about operant conditioning. So operant conditioning is a method of learning that employs rewards and punishment for behavior. So B.F. Skinner is regarded as the father of operant conditioning, and he introduced a new term to behavioral psychology: reinforcement. So operant conditioning focuses on voluntary behaviors rather than those that are unconscious and automatic, along with rewards and punishments, which help ultimately form behaviors for people. Behaviors that are followed by pleasant consequences are likely to be repeated, while those that are followed by unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated. And this is what was called the law of effect and reinforcement. Now, I would agree wholeheartedly in operant conditioning, with one exception, and that's addiction. So the first part of my book is titled Pain, Failure, and Misery Are the Stepping Stones to Success. And the first part of the three is titled Pain, Failure, and Misery. Now, these 3 chapters that are in this part offer a glimpse into my addiction and how operant conditioning failed, which meant that something really sinister was happening within me and within my brain. Now, one of the symptoms of substance abuse disorders in the DSM-5 and its substance use disorder is to continue to use despite negative consequences. So in 2001, I was arrested for 2 felonies. I posted bail, and I was arrested 30 days later for 4 felonies. I was released as the district attorney didn't file on my case within 72 hours, returned to using, and was arrested a few months later for another felony. I posted bail, and I returned to using. Behaviors that are followed by unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated, not for the chemically dependent person. So if operant conditioning doesn't apply to an addict or an active current user, but it does apply to the rest of society for the most part, should it be reinforced once they get clean? I was thinking about this. So for most treatment programs, they don't. What if we used operant conditioning techniques to help people get clean? What if there was a reward that meant something as reinforcement? Now, many clinicians say that they are just doing what they should be doing. Why give them a reward? Maybe it'll help. Every time someone degrades a new person in recovery, unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated, i.e., staying clean. So our minds have a tendency to focus on positive things, i.e., pleasure from drugs. Now, if we need to go a little bit out of our way to help someone, so be it. If we need to offer a reinforcement, suck it up. If we truly care about the people that we're working with, do it. We need to do it. Who cares? If we need to figure out an encouragement, some kind of reinforcement, some way to help people, and even though it may kind of go against maybe what worked for you or your belief, but maybe you see that, oh, maybe this will help this person, then do it. We're losing people. People are dying. So what if you got to suck it up and put your hand out? Give them some kind of reward. Even if it's just a verbal reinforcement. Great job. It's fantastic what you're doing. It's amazing. Look at the things that you're doing early in recovery. Suck it up. I think that this is such an important thing, and I was really just, like I said, kind of contemplating this concept of operant conditioning. And I want to thank you again for listening. This is another episode of Recovering Through Highness. Keep getting high. Again, clean and sober is the only way you're going to stay high the rest of your life. Thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you soon.